Good morning, students. Today we are starting with Alfred Tennyson, the first poet in our syllabus, and the two of his poems, The Lotus Eaters and Tears, Idle Tears. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born on August 6, 1809. He was born to an Anglican clergyman of Somersby, Lincolnshire, England, and he has an atmosphere of this poetry writing, literary studies in his home, because both two of his elder brothers were also used to write poetry, and three of them together published a collection of poems in 1827 when he was only 17 years old. Alfred Tennyson was a leading Victorian poet, as he has truly possessed the qualities, the trends, the social movements of that age in his poems. He has studied from Trinity College, Cambridge. He entered the college in 1827, and there he has met with friends like Arthur Hallam, William Henry Brookfield. Arthur Hallam is the person for whom Alfred Tennyson has written in memoriam, and there at Trinity College he has written his first solo poem named Timbuktu, and for that poem he has received the Chancellor's Gold Medal in 1829. In 1832 he has published his first solo collection of poems. In 1850 he was appointed poet laureate after the death of William Wordsworth, and he remained on this post until his death, probably, and he held the longest tenure on this post. In 1884, Queen Victoria created him Baron Tennyson of Aldworth in the county of Sussex. He continued his writings even into his 80s. He died on October 6, 1892, and he was buried in Westminster Abbey. If we talk about the Victorian period, loosely speaking, the Queen Victoria's period is the period of the regime of Queen Victoria from 1837 to 1901. But if you look at the trends or the tendencies or the social political situation of the era, it has been started in 1832 with the passage of Reform Act. Now, this period of Queen Victoria's regime, it has been a period of a very peaceful kind of period for England, peaceful and prosperous period for England. It began very much moral emphasis was being put by the religious authorities, and the British Empire was extended to a great extent in Asian and African countries. Industrialization rose to its heights, and population was also increased. There were also reforms in every field. There were reforms in social field, there were reforms in religious fields, there were reforms in political fields. Means in this period there was a kind of spirit for reformation, for which all the sections were struggling due to industrialization. There were struggles due to that tendency towards realism. There were again efforts of reform in religion also. So in this period, that tendency of reform was a general run. If we talk about the Victorian literature, then the literature of this period was a link between the realism and the romanticism. Earlier, up to Wordsworth, Coleridge, it was the period of romanticism, the ideal status of literature, and then it was followed by modernism or realism. Though mainly the Victorian age is the period of prose, because novel has been given a very supreme status in this period, the kind of realism which was flowing, the kind of moralities which are being on the surge, the kind of problems which are being faced by the England of that time, they were being given a voice in novel mainly, though there were poets who has written very great poems, very emphatic poetry they have created, like Tennyson, Brownings and all these, but still the major focus of this era was on novel. Novel reading, novel writing was much more popular, and the theatre has also been there, but not that much popular like the times of Shakespeare and that. The basic traits of Victorian era. If we look at the traits of Victorian era, then we must say that the main traits are the reclaiming of past. The writers, the poets, the novelists, the dramatists, they all try to imitate the past heroes, the past folks of England, and there was a tendency towards realism. It has started gaining its importance. The problems, the basic amenities, the basic concerns of people were being considered by the poets, by the writers, and they were being discussed, they were being taken into their writings. Then again, one more thing, that principle of old days, that art is for art's sake, it has also started losing its hold in the Victorian period. Now literature has started to have its own moral purposes. It has left that ideal principle of art for art's sake aside. The scientific temperament, due to the industrialization, due to the growing technologies, the scientific temperament of this period has also affected literature to a great deal. The poets, the novelists, they have started taking things in that way. They have also have these scientific approaches included in their creations. If we talk about Alfred Lord Tennyson, Tennyson was truly a representative Victorian poet, because the intellectual currents, the phenomena, the ideas which were present in his time, they were also being taken into account in his works. The remarkable quality of Tennyson's work is his musical quality and his pictorial qualities. The lilting music of his verse is so hypnotizing for its sound effects, and it created like pictures like Spenser and Keats. He brings the qualities of music and paintings to his poetry. The known works which are being written by Alfred Tennyson was In Memoriam, King Arthur and his Knights revival stories named Idylls of the King, The Charge of the Light Brigade, The Princess Maud, Enoch Arden. These are his well-known works, and in all these works he tries to reflect his engagement with the past, and he used the tales of legendary heroes to express this concern. He also tried to reconstruct the past of Britain through his works. Though he has a musical quality in his poem, he has also control over the rhythm of his language. Tennyson's poetry has a tendency of sentimentalism and didacticism, because the moral values are always there. He always worked upon them. He tried to, though as a poet laureate, he was often called upon to write on public subjects and public occasions, but still, even with these abilities and limitations, the didactic purpose and the moral concerns of Tennyson were always there in his works. The scientific progress of the England at that time is also represented in the works of Alfred Tennyson. Next, in the next lecture, next class, we will be taking up his poem, The Lotus Eaters. Thank you.